they're in the gym. Can't you ask one other competitor? They're like, I asked everyone, no one has any. I said, how is that possible that they have growth hormone, IGF-1, every anabolic steroid known to man, clenbuterol, T3, and every GLP-1 agonist, but they don't have a half a diazide that they can give you?
I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body. And that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
Dave Palumbo here with another RxMuscle rant. Today's topic, I know you guys love these topics, on drugs. Bodybuilding drugs. You see, you guys are already excited. I can tell already. It's a little bit of a rant, but I want to just give it some preface first, some background, okay? In today's world, there's so many bodybuilding drugs that guys use, right? I mean, from testosterone to trenbolone to anadrol to Winstrol, Masteron, Primobolan, Anavar, GH, IGF-1, all the peptides people use, the GLP-1 agonists, the healing peptides like BPC 157, TB500. There's all the growth hormone releasing peptides. There's the melanotan if you want to get a nice tan. If you can't get an erection, you can get PT 141. There's anything out there that you could possibly want to do, there's a peptide that will supposedly, do it. I haven't seen all of them actually live up to their expectations, but there are some really good ones out there. And when a person gets ready for a competition, male, female, usually the guys this applies to more than the women, because the women are not going to use as many drugs as the men. They have laundry lists of stuff that they're taking, okay? I'm talking about testosterone. I see guys on trenbolone 900 milligrams a week, which is ridiculous when you think about it. We used to use 150 milligrams a week max, and people just do some crazy stuff. We took growth hormone at 2 to 4 IUs per day, and people thought that was a lot, and it was expensive back in the day. Guys that's like a chunk change for these guys. They're doing 10, 15 IUs of GH a day. That's astronomically expensive, and you would think that you'd say, how can these guys spend all this money on drugs? And the funny thing about it is that none of this is legitimate. It's all coming black market, underground lab stuff from China, from this place. Now, there are some legitimate, avenues to get real performance-enhancing stuff. Places like TitanMedicalCenter.com, you can go there and get your testosterone replacement. You can get your healing peptides. You can get your, weight loss peptides like the Ozempic, Mounjaro, Retretide, all those great GLP-1 agonists. And I mean, literally, for most bodybuilders, the word polypharmacy is very applicable because they're on so many different compounds. And they have access to everything nowadays. When we were competing, when I first started competing, they had just made anabolic steroids a controlled substance in 1990. I think I did my first cycle in 92, and it was really hard to get stuff because it just wasn't around anymore, and there was no underground stuff. You had to just hope that someone either brought it in from Europe or someone had a good connection in the United States, and they get it from a real pharmacy. There was no underground labs. People didn't make their own stuff back then. So, if you didn't get the real stuff, you were getting counterfeit stuff, and that wasn't good, obviously. But today, everyone has access to everything because the internet is a wonderful tool to be able to access stuff that you never thought you could ever get. And I'm still really amazed at how much money people spend on growth hormone, and all these different anabolic steroids and clenbuterol and T3, and they have oodles of it. And very rarely do people run out, right? They always have, smart amounts of it. They can get through their contest prep. But then what happens is, and I work with a lot of athletes. I do a lot of diets for people, from high-end people to people who are just starting out to people who just want to do transformations. And, at the end of whatever the transformation is, and they got to take pictures, or they're doing a bodybuilding show or bikini competition, you got to get on stage, right? And the last day is the only time that I really change very much in the program. And usually what I do is I give people some sort of diuretic. Usually it's always diazide, okay? And it's usually anywhere from a half to 2 halves the night before, and maybe something, the day of the show. We're talking about 1 to 2 pills you need. And you would think that with access that these people have to all these drugs that I just mentioned, from peptides and steroids and this one's and that one's, that Dyazide would be the easiest thing on the list to get, right? Wrong. Why would it be the easiest thing on the list? Well, because it's prescribed without a it's not a controlled substance. It's just a regular prescription. Probably everyone's grandmother or grandfather has it in their medicine cabinet because it's used for lowering blood pressure and for people whose heart doesn't work quite as well as it should, and they may have a little backup of fluid. It's very commonly prescribed. But yet, 90% of the people I work with can't get a half a Dyazide the night before a show. I asked them, I said, listen, there's 100 people in the gym who compete with you. 100 people in the same gym as you that compete. I know that they're in the gym. Can't you ask one other competitor? They're like, I asked everyone, no one has any. I said, how is that possible that they have growth hormone, IGF-1, every anabolic steroid known to man, clenbuterol, T3, and every GLP-1 agonist, but they don't have a half a Dyazide that they can give you? It's unbelievable that no one has access to Dyazide, but they have access to every other drug known to man. These people can get heroin and cocaine, but they can't get a half a Dyazide. I've never seen. Listen, here's my solution. I like to solve people's problems. That's what I do for a living. Okay, I solve people's problems. When you start off the diet process, right when you're planning to set up, okay, I'm going to start my contest diet on Tuesday because I got 16 weeks to my show. The first thing I want you guys to go and buy, Dyazide. Yes, you don't need it till the last day before the show, but it's obviously the hardest drug to get. It's not a controlled substance. It's the most commonly prescribed medication to average people, but yet bodybuilders can't get Dyazide, but they can get growth hormone. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it, but it happens to be the hardest drug to get in the industry, and that's going to be the title of this brand. The hardest bodybuilding drug to find. It's obviously Dyazide. Get that first on your list. Everything else is going to be a breeze after that. Dave Palumbo with the best advice of the year, RxMuscle.com.